One of the most famous first-born heirs to the English throne, not to inherit the crown, was Edward the Black Prince, son of the legendary Edward III of England. This documentary will briefly look at Edward's life and the reasons he did not become King of England. Edward was born on the 15th of June, 1330. His father was Edward III, who went on to initiate the 100 Years' War, in which the Plantagenet kings of England sought to claim the crown of France. At this time in history, France was not the country it is today, and it consisted of separate kingdoms, some of which were under the control of the English crown due to political marriages. Edward's mother was Philippa of Hainault, born in the Low Countries of Europe, which is now Belgium and Holland. Philippa became a great queen of England, and with her husband away on the 100 Years' War in France, she led an English army to victory against the Scots near Durham in 1346, capturing King David II in the process. Edward had an excellent role model of a father in becoming the great commander that he was. His father took his rightful control of England when he wrestled power for his own mother, Isabella of France, and her lover, Roger Mortimer, in Nottingham in October 1330, just 4 months after Edward's birth. In 1346, a 16-year-old Edward set sail to France with his father at the start of the 100 Years' War. He received his knighthood from his father as soon as they landed in France, prior to the Battle of Crécy, in which his father triumphed. Edward went on to command the English army through many military campaigns in France, during the 100 Years' War, most notably at Poitiers and Aquitaine. He would go on to earn the title the Black Prince, for he always wore black armor into battle. He also went on to be noted as the most chivalrous knight and a great commander, and always treated any captured noble that was held hostage with the respect they were due. In 1361, he married his cousin, Joan of Kent, for which he required special dispensation from Pope Innocent VI. Edward and Joan had 2 sons together, Edward of Angoulême and Richard. Edward of Angoulême died at the age of 5 years old, but fortunately, having a spare, his second son, Richard inherited the throne and became Richard II. Following his marriage to Joan, Edward undertook a campaign in Spain, under the pay of King Peter of Castile, in order to return Peter to the throne of Castile, from which he has been overthrown by his illegitimate brother, Henry of Trastamara. Unfortunately for Edward and his English army, their wait in Spain to be paid by Peter led to dysentery spreading throughout the English ranks, and about 20% of the army perished. Edward himself also contracted an illness at this time, which plagued him for the rest of his life. Following his return to Aquitaine from Spain, a very ill Edward would rise again one more time to thwart an invasion of a French army under the leadership of King Charles V of France at Le Mans. At Le Mans, Edward was so ill that he was unable to mount a horse and had to be carried to the battlefield. After the battle, Edward's eldest son, Edward of Angoulême, passed away aged 5, and shortly after Edward returned to England, landing in Southampton in January 1371 under the advice of his own personal doctors. Seemingly, his return to England restored his health for another 5 years before passing away at the age of 45 in 1376 in Westminster Palace in London. He passed away 1 year before his father and never became Edward IV, as well as his own son, Edward did not become Edward V. His father's crown was inherited by his second son, who became Richard II at the age of 10.